earlier that some of the challenges that we are talking about here, and we might designate of African Americans, they are really some of the challenges of most groups, regardless of the ethnic group or whatever that they're in. And so I think that the things that we're saying here really applies to all, but I think that Africans have a special problem in terms of some of the things that you've already indicated in terms of health and other things. So let's look at some of the challenges in education for the remaining part of this segment.
Yeah, and thank you so much again for the opportunity. Dr. Robert Henner, as you just mentioned about social problems, he asked this fundamental question: when does an issue or a concern become a problem? And he says when there's a reoccurring pattern of something that happens over and over and over again. But then he goes a step further to say when a individual or a group of significant people recognize the problem, that's when it becomes a problem. So it has to be recognized. So when we think in terms of this 21st century, and may I use the term postmodernist, with technology, all of the advancements that we are having right now, with computers, laptops. Now I think they're developing something by the end of this month of 2015 that you'll be able to wear on your arm and have access to everything that you would have on your desktop or your smartphones. And there are a lot of positive aspects of that. But when we think in terms of education, getting the sense that it may be impacting us in a very positive way, but there are some negatives. And I want to try to suggest that for all ethnic groups and even the majority population, but thinking in terms of education, as we're developing in the earlier years of going into pre-kindergarten and kindergarten through elementary school, junior high school, and high school, how is that impacting us? This new technology that's there. The report card is not out, and it seems in this developmental stage, if you think about postmodernism or post-industrial society, that we're at the infant stage of everything that might occur within the next 10 years. This might just be the beginning. But it's impacting the whole educational process, I think, in many instances, could be positive, but in negative. The negative part, I think, is just cognitive development. To what degree are we able to live up to the values of higher education and critical thinking and interest in wanting to read and understanding the ideas that are there and communicating with each other as people do in social interaction to learn? And to what degree is the iPad or the new technology doing that and taking it away from human interaction? Now, just sociologically and social psychologically, there are some positive aspects of it because it can interact, but it might take away from some of that just human interaction that might occur. Then when the child needs to go into kindergarten, then the first grade where they have to sit and pay attention to the teacher or interact with the other children about some interesting concept that a teacher or a professor, in my particular case, there seems to be less interest, that everyone is plugged in to their computers and become to the point of addicted to it. So as we just look at the African American experience or other ethnic group experience or the majority group experience, will they be losing valuable time in their Facebook and their tweets and their whole notion of how they are communicating now in this new age? And is that impacting their cognitive or interest and motivation and desire to learn? And I hypothesize that even on a collegiate level, we're getting the new generations that are coming, and we have to be innovative in the classroom to approach them. But some basic things have to be there. The basic, what people don't know about, just the 3 hours that you and I would know about with reading, writing, arithmetic, it's still going to be very important for a young person to have as a part of the multiple skill sets, as well as being able to plug into their computers. So we might have a smartphone, but we have to be able to use it in a smart and intelligent way. So this could be an advancement in a way, if the interest was there, but that interest I'm trying to bring to our attention is when does an issue, a concern become a problem? It's when we recognize it as such that now we can have access to, say, the New York Times on the smartphone, but are we taking the interest to then pull it up and to look at it? Or we can know about breaking news and what's happening in society, but are we tweeting, what's happening or saying something to a friend versus knowing what academically is relevant to it.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because in other words, not everything that happens